welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, I'm going to upgrade this TT02B to run the new oil gear diffs from Tamiya. I've upgraded the full diffs in this car to metal, and I wasn't overly happy with the very noisy and very not silky smooth. So when these came out, I thought, I'll give them a go and see if they make any difference. Now that means that the drivetrain for this is bomb proof, but it was very, so I wasn't overly happy with that. So I've already picked up one of these. Now this is the oil gear diff TT02, which is the OP-1875, and it's 54875. So I picked up one about 2 weeks ago and I put it in the car. I didn't bother filming it. I just wanted to see whether it'd actually make things better or worse, or whether it was a compromise, because I've already upgraded the diffs. And I was quite happy with it. It was smoother than what I had before, even though it was a bit of a downgrade in some respects, because the main gear is plastic, whereas this is the diff that I've removed from the rear of the car. This is pretty much all metal apart from this bell housing. So this gear is metal where this one is plastic. Now, unfortunately, they're not exactly the same, so I can't just take the metal one off and put it in. What they did was to try and seal the case so that the oil stays inside, is they gave you a gasket. But what they did was they added 4 little nubbins on the end, so that when you place the bell housing over, it blocks up the ends to help with the leakage, to stop the oil from leaking out. Now that's not the end of the world, because the metal version I have obviously doesn't have them, but I don't see why you can't just put some silicone sealant or some hot glue in those 4 holes once you put the planetary gears in, let it set, rub it down a little bit, and then use the metal gear, because once the actual planetary gears are in there, you're not going to take them out again. That way you could have the oil diff and use the metal main gear. But what I'll do is I'll run them in stock at the moment and see how I get on with it. If I find that this gear can't take the brushless power that I've got, I mean there's a lot of power in this car, then I can always do that modification myself. But I'd like to run them in stock mode first, just to see from that point of view. Apart from that, not a great deal of difference. I'd actually upgraded all the drive shafts and end cups on this car anyway. But if you decide that you want to put this kit in, you must remember that you have to change the drive shafts. You can't use the standard drive shafts, because you can see the end cups are different. But I've already changed that on it was an upgrade I did before, so you need that upgrade as well. You can't just throw it in the car and use the original drive and end cups. Now the idea of having this upgrade is that you can choose the oil you run in the diff itself, so you can adjust very finely what the diff, how the diff responds depending on different carpet and things like that. Right, I'll stop waffling on and we'll build the diff and stick it in the front. Two things that will catch you out. One, make sure you put on the bearing before you put in the drive shaft end cup, because you can't fit the bearing over. So if you put it all together and you forget that, you've got to dismantle it again. The end cup comes through and then there's a pin that goes through it on both sides. I put some images up here and you can see them. Now the one that's outside is very easy to get to because it's right there. So you're going to need some tweezers or something like that. The one that's in the cup is right down inside the cup, and it's only just enough space to get the pin to go through, but you've got to put it at an angle. If you're doing it straight on this way, you can't get it in. So you have to rotate it until the hole is pointing diagonally. Then you can drop the pin in and slide it through. But there's obviously a rubber seal that goes around both sides, so you've got to make sure that rubber seal is pushed down to make enough room for the pin to go all the way through. Otherwise it kind of goes in halfway and then just keeps hitting the rubber rubber seal. It's not super difficult, it's pretty easy. It's just you must remember those steps, otherwise you just have to dismantle it again. It's not the end of the world, it doesn't take very long. Also, you have this natural tendency to want to oil the gears, like when you build any, you oil them up before you build them. But because this one is actually going to have all its oil poured inside it, you don't actually have to put any oil on the gears itself because they're submerged in the oil. But it was just something that caught me out when I'm building it. I'm like, oh, I need to put oil on that, and you don't. So once that's done, all you got to do is top it up. Now there's a set line that they want you to top the oil to, and that's the main bar. This main bar here. They say the oil should be up to that, no higher than that. Now I'm just going to use the oil that came with it, but there's obviously lots of different oils. That's the whole point, that you can put thicker oils and thinner oils and what have you. But for this, I'm more doing this for smoothness more than anything. I won't be changing oil that much, and also the fun of actually playing around and doing an upgrade. So you just put the oil in. That should do it. Yeah, so once you're happy, you just turn it over, find the nodules, push down, and then just put the screws in exactly like you do before. Yeah, it does ask you to well, screw them down in a set pattern, not to just go around like that. It's just to jump across. Next, we need to dig into the car. It's pretty straightforward, it's not difficult at all. Now, I took the diff out that way because it's quick. You know, you can disconnect the end upright and make life a bit easier for yourself. Anyway, there you go. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do, and I find them to be a little bit smoother. But there you go. So do I think it's worth it? I'll leave that decision to you. I find it runs a little bit smoother, but it's a bit of fun to change. And now I've got two other diffs that I can probably put in something else at some point. I just wanted to show you. There you go. Anyway, please like and subscribe as it really helps this channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Bye bye.